This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everybody. I think he is not answering. Maybe he will join in next class.
Okay.
So guys, actually this is our first class. So maybe Anand, you attended already. So we are going
Yeah.
to start from the beginning. So
Okay.
Okay.
I will share my screen. So why don't everyone just introduce your name and what you are currently doing, so that every other people will come to know.
Okay.
Yeah, Anand, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, I'm currently working with System Center Configuration Manager. It's been like 3 years that I've been working with SCCM right now, and I'm currently with HSBC. So
Yeah. Okay.
this
Yeah,
will
Anjit.
be new for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Anjit this side. I'm working as a right now working as a Oracle DBA,
Mm-hmm.
and I have 8+ experience as Oracle DBA,
Mm-hmm.
and right now I'm with SO Infotech Private Limited.
Okay. Isaac, you there? Hello.
Hi everyone.
Yeah, Isaac. We are unable to hear you clearly. Can you speak little loud?
It's better now.
Yes, it's better now.
Yeah. So I have a 20-year experience in IT, and from beginning from NT to now 2016 server migrations. I'm working a company as IT manager and as a consultant. So moving around platform from one end to another one, different clients, and
Okay.
also managing to the large clients. So they have most of the time is 500 plus clients. So I am IT manager of two, three companies basically.
Okay, that's nice.
So yeah, so my task is that because we are maintaining SQL, but I started in 2000 SQL and now it's totally changed. I want to just review everything fresh start. So at least understand what is I'm missing. I know some things, but something is missing. I feel it. So I want to join this course.
Sure. Okay, so thanks guys everyone for their introductions. So myself, I'm Rajkumar. I'm working with one of the IT company in India. So I have almost 10 plus experience now, and I have handled a lot of clients from US, UK, sometime freelancing task also I did it, and I have the experience in working with banking sector. Some of the domains are like data warehousing. Some of the clients were having bigger data, so I did my work on all the fields like deep database administration, development, and MSBI. So whatever trainings I usually provide will be totally for US guys, most of the batches. Almost I have completed 5k plus students now. So just you are also one of the part of my batch, so I will be happy to help you guys out with clearing all your doubts and helping you out to learn from basic to the advanced level, with my sharing my all the knowledge and experience which I did it previously as well. So usually what I do is I share my screen and I teach online, and we do record and we discuss everything, and you will get the recording in the OneDrive location. I will share this once we finish today's session, so you can download the recordings of on daily basis, and you can also do the same practice on your lab machines, but your machine must have some good configuration. Okay, because if you have just 8 GB or 4 GB RAM in laptop, that will not help you after the backup and restore topics, where we have some advanced technology like high availability concept for database mirroring, log shipping, clustering, always on, and all. So those advanced topic will require more than 2 3 servers. So in that case, 8 GB RAM is not sufficient. Minimum 16 GB RAM is what we recommend. And in my machine, I do already have a good RAM capacity, like 24 GB RAM. So we do have many labs available. We will create ourselves own lab. DC machine is already there. We will clear this and we will create that during our practice. So we will, from the scratch, we will create this and we will record the session for domain controller creation as well. So you will get some idea about the Windows system admin task as well, and also about a cluster servers, that are the nodes. Usually in Oracle it is called as rack. So similar to that, we have the clustering option available. So rack kind of thing, we will do the setup in SQL with the cluster nodes. More than 2 clusters also we can design. I already did it in my previous session, so we will delete them, we will create from fresh. Okay, so now in today's session, my agenda is to put you a learning part of database administration overview. Like, we all know that administration is there, concept of data transferring is there, security is there, backups and high availability, all parts we have designed in a such a way that step by step activities will be carried out in our session. So you will get step by step all the knowledge, because if we hurry, other topic you will not understand clearly. Okay, so I will go in a way that one topic is dependent on another topic. So whichever topics we will first cover, on those topics next topics are dependent. Okay, so I have designed the syllabus in a way that is beneficial for your certification exam as well. Okay, so all the notes for the certification as well as dumps I can provide you. Even I am certified DBA, I have already done my certification. In case if you are interested to see my certificate of database administration, here it is. So you can easily clear the certificate and score the good marks in exam. So this is the one, administrating database SQL Server 2012 and 14, and querying Microsoft SQL 2012 and 14. I'm planning for 463 now, so I will become MCSA in the database 2012 and 2014, and also I'm planning for SQL 2016 certification. Okay, so you can also give this exam. I do already have the software and dumps already with me, so I will share with them. Once we finish up our training session, I will guide you on the certification part also. You can plan it. Now what we will start is first introduction to SQL Server. Everyone knows the latest editions of SQL is 2016 and 2017, but we should install 2012 first. We should practice on 2012. Later I can give the same setup of latest editions. You can download them, or you can download the developer editions from the Microsoft website directly and do the practice on the latest technology. Okay, why older features? Because now, still now, all the market, whoever are still using SQL 2008 and 2012 in the market, they are not yet migrated. So even after the training session, if you get some job or you have the activities list already in pending, you might have to do migration. So you must know older features or older versions of SQL, and you must know how it exactly works. So that is the main motto behind it. We already have 2012, 14, 16 already installed in one of the server, but first we will do the installation step and then we will use the already installed server, so we can do practice on this instance. Okay, so today this is the VMware software. Okay, basically to run this software you need a setup. I do have the cracked edition, so I can share with you, so you can download the setup, you can do the practice. Already we also have all the notes online. I can share the notes with you guys, so that topic wise notes you will get it. And the software that required to do the SQL installation with the ISO files, we already have it in OneDrive. I will share email so that you can download and prepare your labs for the same. Okay, so now here you can see that various instances are created. So for creating the first instance, let me open this from the beginning. This is the VMware software, VMware Workstation Pro. Usually if you install it, it will be activated for 30 days, but I have used some keys to do some cracked edition, so this is activated permanently. with no expiration date. Okay, now we have to create our first test machine to install our SQL Server 2012. Okay, so what we will do, we will go ahead and create, instead of SQL 1 2, I will create SQL 3, one more instance. Like from here, file, create the new virtual machine. Okay, so this is the window will appear. Usually this all task what currently we are doing is a task of system admin team. Okay, after doing the Windows installation, they will provide you all the configuration of machine and the server name, IP address, and the user that you require to be accessed might be your own Windows authentication Active Directory, and you can use them. Anjit, you can mute yourself in case you have any doubt.
Okay.
You can
Okay.
unmute and ask. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, so now here ISO file is there that we have to browse it to install the SQL Server. I do already have the ISO file of Windows Server. Okay, like this. I will share the setup with you guys. So one is ISO file with Windows Server. This one is MS SQL Server. Okay, so I will browse this file. Automatically, it will detect the Windows Server 2012. Even I already have the Windows Server 2016. Okay, so first we will try it on older version. This window you can leave it blank, and this one you need to browse it. Where do you want to keep it? Okay, so let's say I will keep that into my one of the drive here. I will create one folder called as SQL3. Let's say inside this folder we will place that VM. Okay, and here as well I will create the same folder, SQL3, so that this list will appear with this name. Okay, SQL3, and location actually it is storing in this location. Next, by default I will use the 60 GB. Okay, and this will power on, but I don't want to power on, or if I want to power on I will start it again immediately, but I want to increase the RAM. Currently it is only by default 2 GB RAM. Okay, in my machine I already have 24 GB RAM, right? So that I can just increase the RAM one more time, like I will keep 10 GB RAM so that our activity will be more faster. Okay, so like this you can see in your machine you might not have that much of RAM, then you can use 2 GB or 4 GB of RAM. Okay, so this is what 10240 is, 1 MB, right? So if I use 10240, that means 10 GB. So 10 GB RAM I am using, and finish. Once I press finish, it will start the OS level Windows installation. So once this installation is done, then we can move on SQL Server installation. So this will take let's say 5 minutes of time. Till that time, what I will discuss is about our SQL Server installation. So first task in our SQL installation, what we will do after the Windows Server is ready, rename Windows Server with proper host name. Okay, this will be your first task. Second task, provide static IP address. Okay, and then administrator account with account setup with password. Okay, so that by default it will not have any password, we have to set up the password. Then disable firewall. This is only required for our home lab purpose. Okay, this step is not required in office or production environment. This will be done by their team, like server admin team. In case required they will disable, otherwise they will keep it on, and they will only pass all the firewall related ports, connectivity ports in the firewall. Okay, fifth, disk setup. So what is the disk setup required for our SQL installation is, I will mention it here. C drive with the OS, D drive or F drive we will take, E drive we will take, E drive with the data, F drive also we will take log, G for temp DB, H for backups. So this should be actual structure how you will start SQL Server installation. Okay, by default everyone do the installation on home machine, like on C drive only, but in VM you have the option to create the additional drives which will be similar to your office environment, which will give some look of office environment. So once we create all these drive structure, then we have to start the SQL installation. But before SQL installation, there are some prerequisites, like we need to install .NET Framework 3.5 SP1. Okay, so once this is done, we need to ensure all the checklist has been checked which are mentioned above. Okay, then here once you disable the firewall and enable remote connection option, so that we can take the remote of that desktop MSTSC and we can start working on it. Okay, so this setup which is mentioned below. Okay, so this should be your installation checklist. Windows Server installation checklist and prerequisite to install SQL Server. Okay, hey Monirul, hi.
Hi.
Hi, okay, we just started this session. Okay,
Okay.
okay, so we are discussing about the installation part. So this is our first session. You can mute yourself. If you have any doubt, you can ask us. So, okay,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, thanks. Okay, so now you guys can see this is the Windows Server setup that we have to carry out. Once all this step till the step 6 is done, then we will move for SQL Server setup. But while doing the SQL Server setup, certain points you need to remember. So which points? First of all, install SQL Server with administrator account. Okay, if you do not have admin account, you cannot do the installation. Second, create necessary folders for SQL installation. Like we are creating a data folder, right, for the E drive, log folder in the E drive, F drive. So for TempDB, we should create some folder. Backup, we should create some folder. I will show you how to create these folders and name them properly. And why we are doing this systematic installation, because if you go some banking sectors or some financial sectors, they will ask you some systematic installation. It should not be everything in C drive, because if your OS got corrupted, you cannot recover your drives as well as your databases. Okay, now maybe you have the OS backup, that is different case, but there will be some business loss and all. Okay, so we can see this installation is going on, Windows Server installation. Now create necessary folders and particularly for SQL installation. Once this part is done, then begin SQL installation with standard steps. Okay, which steps I will show you while doing this installation. And once installation is done, then perform security settings and best practices settings. So these are the steps, and in my training I will cover most of the part practically and less theoretically. So this I will share and I will send this as well with you guys. Okay, so this is our part of SQL Server installation. Before doing this installation, we should follow this rule. Okay, so let's see this installation of Windows Server. It's done almost. Once it is up, we can start with SQL installation by following all this first checklist. Why we need to provide static IP at home machine? Because whenever you reboot your machine or reboot the VMware, it will take the new IP address, and you cannot take the remote connection with the same IP address every time. So that is the reason we should keep some standard static IP address which should not change even after restart. Administrator account is required because while doing the SQL server, it will ask you the credentials to install with admin account only. Otherwise it will fail because it will not have proper access on drives. Firewall disable is required to take the remote connection and enable the remote connection option for MSDSC or remote connection. Disk setup, we should follow this structure. Usually this structure will be followed by every financial sector, and if additional drives are required once you install, database has been created, later on if there is a disk is full, you can take some additional drives as per your business requirement. Okay, so after doing all this checklist, we should follow with the .NET Framework installation, then the SQL Server setup, and then we should follow all the other remaining settings. So I will show you that as well. Okay. It might take few more minutes for your machine, like instead of 10 minutes, it might take 20 minutes or half an hour, because this configuration is good for virtualization environment. You might have a processor which has the number of cores less. In my machine it is 4 cores, so that it will run faster. If you have less number of cores here, in instead of i7 you may have i3 or i5 or i7 as well with less number of cores. It will work little slower. Okay, so that is fine, but you need to prepare the lab for the daily practice. After a few days I will also show you the Microsoft lab, how to use that lab, particularly when you are unable to install the SQL server on laptop. So you can do use of the Microsoft lab as well. So we will discuss that. Now if you see this, initially the screen will not be properly stretched on the screen. It is because VMware tools are not installed. Okay, so by default when you install Windows Server, it automatically installs the VMware tools. It will automatically pop up that VMware tool now. If it's see this, okay, automatically it is popping up. It will install and it will reboot automatically as well for first time. So we don't have to do anything. Automatically it will perform. Once it is rebooted one more time, then only we have to use this server for further activities. You see now the screen is properly stretched automatically, and it will reboot as well automatically once this installation of VMware tools is done. See this. Okay, so this looks like fine now. And the moment you first time access this server, just a minute guys. Hello. Yeah guys, okay, so we have done with the Windows installation. We can close that server manager which is not required, and when you see this is the start icon in Windows Server, and this PC and control panel option is available. You can right click here, or you can just open this and go to properties of this machine to see the name of the server. Initially, for first time, this will generate some junk name. You have to do this proper rename to ensure that your server has been referred with the proper name. Okay, so let's change this setting and change this option. So let me rename this with SQL3. Okay, this requires one more reboot once we do the installation, so we should reboot it quickly. Okay, so it's done. Let's open this machine now and check the name once again. I will right click and go to properties directly to see the name SQL3. Okay, so now the next thing what we have to do, we just renamed our host name with server with proper host name. We have to provide the IP address, administrator account setup with password we have to do. So how to change the IP address, that is the question. Open the command prompt. You can type cmd in search menu and open it. First check the existing IP address using the ipconfig command. Okay, so this is your IP address 192.168.232.168. Okay, I want to use the same IP address, then I can use it, or if I want to change it something else, I can change it. So let's say I will use it one instead of 168, I will use it as suppose 156. Okay, now how to change the IP address? Open your control panel and go to control panel home. In category option, you have to select the large icons. Here somewhere network and sharing center option is there. Just click on it. Change adapter setting. Go to properties of this. Okay. In TCP IPv4, go to properties, and here is the IP address you have to change. But what is your current IP address setting? You can see this current IP address setting as well. Okay. So I want to provide 192.168.232.156 instead of 168. So I will change it here. 192.168.232.156. I will keep the IP range till 232 as it is. We should not change it. We should keep as it is. Once we click on next, it will take automatically the subnet mask setting. Just click on next and give the same default gateway as your IP address. Instead of 156, make it as 2. 192.168.232.2. Okay. DNS as well, you can leave it blank, or if you want, you can give it like this. Okay. So when you have the domain servers, then this setting is different. We will discuss what kind of IP addresses we have to provide in the DNS, in the gateway, and in the subnet mask. Okay, so as of now, this is the standard setting. How I did pick, I could have allocated 168 as well, but I know that I have already used 168 for one of these servers, existing server. Okay, that is the reason it got same IP address, because other servers are in shutdown mode. Okay, 156 I am using it. Only change is that I did it this change and this change. Click OK and close this. And now just disable and re-enable this just to have the proper impact. We disable and we re-enable, so it will enable the network setting. Okay, once this has been enabled, now check the IP address again using the same ipconfig command. It has been changed now, this IP address. Okay, so what is the next change? Administrator account setup with the password. Correct, by default your password will be blank, so I have to provide the password. In run menu, go to the run, type the command lusrmgr.msc. I will copy paste this command in chat. This is list of users manager, so everyone might got this command in chat window. Copy that and save in some window, in some word file, and keep that word file common in all session. Whatever commands I will share, you can copy paste, and also most of the queries you will get it from me in documented way. Okay, so this command will open the list of users and groups. First of all, if you see, default administrator will be disabled in properties. Okay, so user must change password, untick it, and password never expires, just tick it. Click OK and change the password of this account. Let's say I'm setting the password. Right click on that user, set the password option, click proceed. Okay, so let's say I'm giving the password, simple password, and easy to remember for us but hard to guess. So I will give the password to both the accounts. Okay, remember you should not lose this password. If you lose, that will be very critical. So for that reason you can create multiple users, and one of the user you can keep blank for practice purpose. Okay, but the account sorry, the account administrator is the one which we have to use it for SQL installation. So how to log in using administrator account we will see later. First, other steps we have to carry out now. We did IP setting, we did the account with password, disable firewall and enable remote connection now. Okay, so go to control panel, back, disable the firewall. In Windows firewall option, we have the firewalls enabled. You can turn off using this option, turn off Windows firewall. Okay, once this part is done, then what you can do is go to the system, in remote settings, allow the remote connections, click OK and apply to it and click OK. So this option will allow you to take the remote desktop connection of this SQL3 machine. So how will you take now the remote connection? I will show you. So let's say from my outside start menu, I have the remote desktop connection option. If you cannot find this, just type the remote option, okay, like this, and you can find the remote desktop connection. So here is the IP address, you have to type it, which we have done the standard setting to take the IP address. Okay, so I have to click on that and type the administrator account and its password. Okay, so I will remember it in my environment so that next time it will be easier for me to log in. So like this you can take the remote desktop connection. Okay, till that time what we will do now, remote part is done. We have to add the disk now. So how will you add the disk? We need to go to VMware properties of this VM. In the setting you will see the hard disk here, right? We will add this drive structure like data locked MDB backup separately. So what I will do, I will create a disk folder here. Okay, inside the disk folder I will add 4 drives. So let's say I will add, say yes, and this is the hard disk option I will select. Next, create the new drive, virtual drive, and select the size. Initially I will take only 20 GB because I don't need more size. I will take 20 GB, and this is how I have to browse it first. And inside my this folder, disk folder, I have to give the name. Okay, so this is the name I will give it. I was copied it. Okay, like in the disk folder, it will be created as a this drive. So if you copy this file for the next drive, instead of this 0, I will make it 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. Okay, this drive has been added with the 20 GB size. But you cannot see this drive directly here. Okay, so let's say I have added that drive. It cannot show it here. So there is a process to make that drive visible here. That is the reason I will show it later. But before that, let's add first 3 more drives with 10 GB size. Okay, let's click on add hard disk. Next, create new virtual drive with 10 GB is fine. Browse it in disk option. Let's say instead of 0, I will do it as 1. Okay, like this. So I will just copy paste now, and I will change the numerical letters. Instead of 60, I will make it 10 again. 2. Same thing I will do one more time. Next, and here it should be 10 again. 3. So we have added 4 drives additional to this server, and click OK. Now how will you see these drives? Suppose you have opened the server manager, go to file and storage, you will see disk option. So whatever drives has been added, all of them will be in offline mode. Okay, now you right click here and bring online, say yes. Again right click and say new volume. Okay, next, say OK. Instead of 20 GB here, and select the drive letter, whichever drive letter you would like to give. Suppose I want to give E drive, and I do want to name that drive with the some label. Okay, so I will label as data drive. So you see this label where it will appear is, I will show you that label. Like you see this, instead of local disk word, it will show as a data. So that is the reason I am adding as a data now, and create. So this will create the data drive. It will appear here. See, like this. Okay, the same steps you can follow up for the other drives. Right click, bring online, say yes. Right click, say new volume. Next, OK. Next, app drive. This is for log, right? So I will select log. Next, create. Bring online, yes. New volume. Next, OK. Next, G. This is for temp.db. Next, create. H drive, and this is for backups. Okay, I will create. So all those 4 drives will be visible here now for your use. Okay, so we added this much of OS task. Whatever the activities we did till now is sysadmin task, that is system administrator's task. Okay, so we completed till the 5th step. We have the SQL installation, but before that we have to do the .NET framework installation. So let's do the .NET framework installation as well now. Okay, so you guys can see this servers option, right? How we open this? This is available at the bottom, or we can click here. You can go to server manager. Okay, so let's open the server manager once again, and here you will see add roles and features option. Click on next. Click on next till you get the features option. Click on next. Okay, now in the features, tick mark this .NET Framework 3.5 features and next and install. Sometime this feature will get fail to install it on your server. Then you need to use some tricks to install it successfully. There is a folder called as SXX. Before confirmation option, it will ask you to specify that SSX folder path to complete that file successfully installation of .NET Framework. On some server, automatically this will be successful because it picks up the binary files from your Windows Server ISO setup file. Okay, so most of the cases it will be 80% successful. In case it fails, we have to do troubleshooting, and usually this will be done by server admin team sometime in your organization if you are working. And this is prerequisite. If you do not install this during your SQL Server setup, it will fail and it will say .NET Framework installation is not done. Okay, so that is a problem. Now let's see, we have to create till that time .NET Framework get installed. We have to create some directories. I will create the directory called as SQL underscore 2012 and one more directory called as SQL data or directly data folder. And here I will create the log folder. Okay, so here I will create the temdb folder. Okay, if you are not getting this option to create the new folder here, you might have this window to hide it. You can click it again here on right corner so that this option will be appearing to you. You can use it. Now inside this H drive, I will have the option to create the drive for backups as well. Okay, like this. So this is the thing where we will create it, all the directories, backups, temdb, log and data files. Okay, and SQL 2017 because I will perform my SQL installation in this SQL 2012 folder. Let's see now what is next. See, this .NET Framework is failed, right? It is because we did not map our ISO file to the drive. Okay, sometimes this ISO file will automatically pick up by this drive, but if you do not have it, we have the SSX folder. I will show you that folder as well, which is available in the setup. Softwares, SQL Server softwares. Okay, you see this folder, SSX folder. This is the one which is required to install there and complete the setup. So this folder, what I will do is I want to create the shared path of this so that I can access that as a shared folder here to copy it. Okay, so how to create the shared folder, you can see it now. Right click here on that VM, go to setting, go to options, go to shared folders, always enabled option you have to select, click on add and next, paste the host path where you want to create the shared folder, enable this share and click OK. Okay, so we need to disable the firewall and also some setting has to be enabled to enable that share. Okay, so where is that setting? In the network options, you can see change advanced sharing option and turn it on. Okay, all networks turn it on, private as well turn it on, all the networks turn it on and save the settings. So you can see that as a shared drive here usually. it's not able to visible here. So let's go to setting again. Okay, so here is the option map as a network drive in a Windows guest. So once I select it and click OK now, it will map as a shared drive like Z. Okay, so now I can copy this folder entirely and paste in my local machine somewhere. So let's say I will copy it here and I will create the directory here. Okay, so it's not responding. Okay, so maybe you can see the CPU utilization is very high. That could be due to the shared drive. After doing all these changes, it's better to do one-time restart as well. So it should not be hanged due to shared folder. I think this is happening. Let me do quick restart of this. If yeah, it's got, I think, created. Let me copy paste that folder which has the SSX folder. Okay, once it's done, then we can do the installation of .NET framework here. I will close this window. So till this part, everyone understood, right? Any doubts? You can
No.
unmute and yeah, okay. So if you have any doubt, guys, you can unmute and talk.
Rajkumar,
Yeah,
so is there any specific reason to use this .NET framework? What actually?
it's a prerequisite actually to connect your applications to the databases. It requires
Okay,
a .NET framework as a drivers. Okay, and
okay,
SQL internally itself uses the .NET framework while doing the installation. Like it's a, one of the .NET application only, SQL as well.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so software prerequisite. So before SQL installation, Windows PowerShell must be there, as well as we must have the .NET. Windows PowerShell is present nowadays in every Windows Server setups by default. So minimum hardware requirement. Like now you can see I will copy this file folder path while doing the installation using the .NET framework. I will just click on add roles and features once this all options appears. Okay, I will click on features option directly. Next and features .NET framework, and here I will specify, do you need to specify the alternate path for the missing source files. So here specify alternate source path is there. Just copy paste the path where do you have this all folders and click on install. So this will complete the installation successfully by using all the binary files, whichever required automatically it will pick up, and it will complete the .NET framework installation. So it will take 15-20 minutes more to complete our SQL installation. Once this is done, then I will share you the video recording link as well. Close it. Okay, so now this every prerequisites that we discussed initially has been completed till the 6th step. We have to proceed with SQL installation now. Let's suppose how to start the SQL installation. We need to map our ISO file first here so that I can use that setup file. Okay, so how will you use that setup file? Let's say first I will map this setting and go to the CD drive, click on connected, use an ISO file, click on browse option, and first in the D drive VM option select this SQL ISO file. If you do not click on connected, it will not map into this internal drive. Okay, it will be mounted this ISO file for the installation. Click OK. Like this you can see the mounting, and we can start with the installation. So I have logged in using my administrator account so that I can use this file for SQL setup. Okay, so how to do this setup now? Let's see. Right click and install. Okay, so this will start the SQL installation. New standalone installation is the one which we need to select. Failure cluster we will see in cluster installation. Add node also in cluster installation we will see. Upgrade is required in case your migration is on from your older instances to newer instances. You have to check this. Okay, so first this is the standalone installation we will carry out. And we have to create one service account user. Maybe it could be a domain user or it could be a local user. So let me create that user first along with this lusrmgr.msc. So here what I will do, I will create a user account called as SQL service. Okay, so this user I will use it for SQL installation during the logon account setting in SQL installation. So this service account will be used in future to start your SQL Server services. So we can mention some description like SQL service account here. Usually this will be provided to you by system admin team only, and this should not be a administrator account. It should not be a part of your administrator with the low privileges. That should be, it should not be a part of like this administrator's account which we usually have. Okay, so I should not add it. It should be normal users group. I will use this. Let's say this is your start window after SQL installation has been started. If you do not install .NET framework, this step will fail. Okay, so click OK now. And start with your SQL installation step by step. This will be your license. Sometime you might have to do evaluation, like for trial versions you can select it. Express edition is the free feature introduced in SQL which has some limitation. With the limited features only it is available. Okay, So presently I have the SQL Server setup file with the license key. So click on next, accept the license, click on next, include the SQL Server SP1 in your setup file. Once it downloads the setup, then it will include the SP1, that is service pack 1 as well, automatically. $15 minutes more to finish our today's session. So once this installation is done, in tomorrow's session we will start with the what are the standard settings we have to do, configurations, and I will show you some SSIS, SSRS and SSAS related settings. Okay, so once this is done, 24, 25, 26 MB, automatically it will extract and it will start the next step. So once the next step comes, we can click on next. This install the SQL Server. To see all the installed software, you have to click it here. Presently there are no SQL installation. So once it is done, here I will show you that SQL installation list. And we can track the log of all these SQL installation in the default directories. Okay, so that default directory could be present in SQL Server program files somewhere here. Okay, setup bootstrap in the log. So these are the settings and configuration file will be there. Some organization will ask you to do SQL installation using configuration file. So for that you need to start the SQL Server and stop. Default configuration file will be generated automatically. Okay, and you need to do some standard setting there itself. But this is how we have to do the installation using GUI mode. Click next. SQL Server feature installation. We do not want currently to install for SharePoint because we want to install normal database engine, SSAS, SSRS, SSIS, analysis, reporting and integration. So next, here you have to select all the features that you would like to install. As of now we will select it all. Okay, we do also require AS, RS and all. And when you see, this is your shared directory features where you will install the SSMS and all the other supported softwares and some DLLs and all. Okay, so we see that there is a management studio by default. This is included in the setup itself, but when you install SQL 2016 or 2017, this management tool as well as business intelligence tool, that is called as data tools, SQL Server data tools, you have to install it separately. Okay, so you see this option, SQL Server data tools, this has to be installed, and management tools has to be installed separately, which has separate ISO file in 2016 and 2017, which are the recent versions. But for 2012, 14 and earlier version, it will be included in the setup itself. Sometimes some people will ask you to install only the business intelligence and SSMS. So you do not have to select all features, only select this one and this one because they want client. Okay, so you have to select these two options only.
Hey Kumar,
Yeah.
Raj, I have a question. So 2016, if we need to install Management Studio, so we need to download from the Microsoft side. Is that free?
Yes, it's free.
Okay.
Data tools and SSMS is a client. It is totally free.
Just asking because I need to start today.
Yes. Sure. Okay, so once you are done with the feature selection, just click on next. Remember, shared features can be installed in C drive only, but root directory of the server, we must select it on other drive, because all our system databases should be created in other drive. Okay, so I will show you where exactly. Click on next. See this is your root directory. I have to browse this root directory and I have to keep it in D drive, E drive, sorry. In this SQL 2012 I have created, which I will select as a root directory. You might select this as a default directory in C, but this creates all your system databases, so that those system databases, in case it is present in C drive and your OS is got corrupted, that is a problem. So always prefer this to be kept on different drive. Okay, if you want to create a default instance, it will be created with the default instance name called as MS SQL Server, or sometime it can be possible you will install multiple SQL servers on the same Windows server. Okay, so first installation could be default. Once you do it default, next installation, whatever you will do, you have to do the named instance. You can give this name, maybe your project name, or MS SQL Server 2, or whatever SQL2 name, so that will become as a second instance. So presently we are doing with the default instance. We will click on next. Disk space requirement also it will calculate. Some around 6 to 8 GB space is required for doing the installation, like this. Correct. 6 GB for this and 2 GB for particular to the other drives. So this is how, for the tools, this is the requirement. For the database engine, it is required. So 8 to 9 GB is required. So click on next, and this is the where we will provide the account name for configuration. Usually you may have the AD account, like your username @ your domain name.com, and use that password. But presently I am using in workgroup. That's the reason I will use SQL service only, the name of the user. Here is the option to browse and find this. Okay, so I will find all the users, or here instead that I will find it all, and like this I will find it, SQL3/SQL service. Okay, and I need to provide the correct password as well. And database engine also I will use the same account. Okay, and I will use the same password. Remember, for every services should use different account. As of now I shown you for only SQL server and agent services. For analysis and integration, for reporting, must use the different accounts. Okay, so those configuration you can do it later on if you once finish up your installation configuration part. Okay, so this also you can turn it automatically. Agent service. What is agent? Agent is required to schedule some job and run the job on the schedule basis. There is a collation, which is a default collation. This is required for the language setting. If your application has some different language requirement, you can customize this and change it. Suppose you require some different characters or different country languages, you can select them from either here or from here. Like suppose your application is required some Chinese characters or Japanese characters, so as per that you can select it. Okay, so as of now I will use the default one, which is US English, and we have to click on next. Select mix mode. Some organization prefer to use only Windows authentication, so SQL authentication they will not be able to connect. What is SQL authentication? It will have some username and password which you can share with other people as well. But when you select Windows authentication, only the people who are logging in with using their Windows account can only log in, which does not require any password, but they has to log in using Windows authentication option. Okay, so as of now I will select the mix mode, and add current user presently to have this user with proper access, as well as data directories. We have to browse where do you want to keep all your SQL databases data files. So we created the data folder right in E drive. So I will keep it in E drive, and log I will keep it in F drive. TMDB directory I will select it TMDB, and backup directory I will select it for backups. Okay, so this is the main setting we will do. File stream I will not enable, we will do it later while doing the file stream topic. Okay, and remember this password which has been used for as a user, which is highest account for the SQL Server system administrators. Next, click on current user. Some DW environment like data warehousing environment may require a tabular mode installation instead of multi-dimensional, so you have to use the tabular mode option. Presently I will use the multi-dimensional one, and its directory is also in A drive. Some organization prefer this drives also should be separated out, but as of now it's fine. I will keep on the single drive. Install and configure. Distributed relay controller is actually not required, but I will still add the current user. It is not required at all. Replay controller is basically for monitoring the multiple servers from one location kind of thing. Next, it's a error handling. In case you have license version, you can send the logs, otherwise you can skip it out. So this is all the prerequisites. Again, it will check at the end before installation configuration file, and this file is the main one which will track all the installation log. So you can start this installation. Okay, so this will take some 15-20 minutes or half an hour or 1 hour time to complete whole SQL installation now. So we can pause here, and we can connect in tomorrow's session. Let me share you guys with the recording link where I will upload for today's session. Also, I will email you guys today to download this recording, which will be in the RAR file format. RAR file, you can download a WinRAR software to extract it. It's kind of zipping file, and using WinRAR, once you install and extract, you can watch in .mp4 format. So copy this link I just have shared with you guys, so you can download this and do the practice on the same. Okay, so tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. IST at the same time we will start it again, which has some interesting topic of SQL installation, post SQL installation configuration, as well as standard best practices settings. And also we will see some architecture of SQL to understand the databases, server settings, as well as memory related settings, security related settings. So once that part is done, then we can start with the actual configurations, and then all the other topics of data transfer activity, login, and permissions. Okay, so any doubt till this topic, guys? I think it's clear, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we will see them tomorrow at same time. In next week, what we will do, we will schedule a plan. Like in case you need to do some practice, either we will keep 4 days sessions, 3 days you can practice, or 5 days session, 2 days you can practice. So Monday to Friday IST timing it will be there. So Israq, you can convert that into your US time. So as per that you can attend then. Okay.
So 9:30 is the time.
Yeah, 9:30 p.m. will be IST time. Today, what time you joined, right? The same time you have to join.
Yeah, time.
Okay. So it may be your 10 a.m. EST, right? I guess.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So thanks, guys, for attending the session.
Raj, is it possible we can join in an half an hour or 45 minutes early for
Because
sessions?
yeah, actually, problem is that everyone comes late. Even I come
Okay.
from office late. It is the reason we
Uh-huh.
kept 9:30.
Okay.
So let's see for a few days. Not a problem. If everyone, I will discuss personally with everyone. So if required, then we can take 30 minutes early.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. See you then, guys. Thanks. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Right.
you.